Hello everybody, this is Shubhranshu Sahu from class 9th E, and today we are going to discuss about coordinate geometry. First we will have some introductory part, then we will perform an activity, and at last we will come to some conclusions. So let's start. In the figure which you can see, the horizontal line is called the x-axis and is represented by x dash ox. Similarly, the vertical line is called the y-axis and is represented by y o y dash. The point of intersection, that is the point where the 0 of the x-axis and the 0 of the y-axis coincide with each other, is called the point of origin. The coordinates of this origin are 0, 0. Now, what are coordinates? So, the coordinates are the values of x and y. So, the value of x is called the abscissa and the value of y is called the ordinate. Now, let's see what are quadrants and how they are named. So, the quadrant 1 lies between OX and OY. The quadrant that lies between OY and OX dash is called the second quadrant. The third quadrant lies between OY dash and OX dash. And the fourth quadrant lies between OY dash and OX. Let's proceed further and perform an activity. So, the objective or the aim behind our activity is to obtain the mirror image of a given geometrical figure with respect to the x-axis and the y-axis. The materials which we will require to perform this activity are graph papers, dark color pencils, eraser and ruler. We shall use a figure, say a flight of stairs, to form its mirror image along x-axis and y-axis. Let's proceed with the steps. Step number 1. Draw a figure on a graph paper in the first quadrant. First quadrant means that we have to draw a figure between OX and OY. Plot some points on the graph, say A 3, 0, B 3, 1, C 2, 1, D 2, 2, E 1, 2, F 1, 3, G 0, 3. We have to plot these points on the graph and with their respective coordinates. Now, then we have to join these points, that is A, B, C, D, E, F and G sequentially to form a stairs. Next step. Mark the points A dash, B dash, C dash, E dash, F dash and G dash on the opposite side of x-axis such that these points are exactly at equal distances from x-axis as the points A, B, C, D, E, F and G respectively. So now we have to draw a mirror image of this flight of stairs in the quadrant 4 such that all points are equal from the x-axis respectively with their opposite sign. Now, the fourth step is to join the points A dash, B dash, C dash, E dash and F dash sequentially to again form a flight of stairs. Next, we have to take another graph paper and repeat the procedure from step 1 to step 5 for drawing the mirror image across y-axis. First, we have drawn the mirror image across the x-axis and now we have to draw a mirror image across y-axis. So this time we will draw it in the second quadrant. As you can see in this graph also, it is drawn in the second quadrant. Now, let's have some observations. Graph 1 across x-axis. So the coordinates are like this. Coordinates of A, B, C, D, E, F, G are A is 3, 0, B is 3, 1, C is 2, 1, D is 2, 2, E is 1, 2, F is 1, 3 and G is 0, 3. Similarly, The coordinates of A dash, B dash, C dash, E dash, F dash and G dash are shown here. So you can find that these are exactly opposite to each other and their sign is changed. Let's move further and observe about the graph 2, that is we have drawn across the y-axis. As you can see here the graph and its coordinates respectively from A, B, C, D, E, F and G and A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, E dash, F dash and G dash. So the result which we obtained is the mirror images of the given graphs along x-axis and y-axis respectively. So thank you.
My name is Sahil, and today we will learn coordinate geometry. So, coordinate geometry was invented by René Descartes. He has said many of them famous dialogue. One of them was, "Do not dream about the things you cannot reach yourself. Your highest achievement is freedom. It cannot make you beautiful, rich, strong, or happy in the eyes of the world, but can set you free." It was said by René Descartes. There are many of the dialogues which was said by René Descartes. Okay, let it be. Moving further. So, in the introduction part, what are coordinates? Now, to help you understand the coordinates, take a look at the figure below. Now, you consider the grid on the right. The columns of the grid are labeled as A, B, C, D, E, F. And on the other hand, the rows are numbered as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so on. And you can see the letter X is located in the box. And here, T and 3 are the coordinates of this box. The box has two parts. One is the row, another is column. You need to understand, so when you have both of them, you can find a single box. That is the point where the rows and column intersect each other. Yes, okay. Moving further. Things should we know. So in things should we know, we had the coordinate plane. In the coordinate geometry, all the points are located to the coordinate plane. Take a look at the figure below. So the coordinate, the figure above has two scales. You can see one is x-axis, which is running across the plane, and the other is y-axis, which is at the right angles to the x-axis. This is similar to the concept of the rows and columns that we discussed above, means which we have read before this one. Okay, so let's move further. Now comes to the understanding the concepts of coordinates. The points of intersection of x and y axis is known as the origin. At the point, both x and y are 0. The values on the right side of the x-axis are positive, and the values on the left-hand side of the x-axis are negative. Similarly, on the y-axis, located above the origin are positive, and values located below the origin are negative. When you have to locate a point on the plane, it is determined by a set of two numbers. So first you have to write about its location on the x-axis, followed by the location it's on the y-axis. Together, two will determine a single and unique position on the plane. Okay, so in the given figure, the point has a value 20 on x-axis and the value 15 on y-axis is 15. These are also the coordinates of point A, and often these points are also regarded as the rectangular coordinates. I will say that the order of the points on the plane is crucial. You have to write the x coordinate ahead of the y coordinate. Okay. So now let's begin with the activity. Objective: to obtain a mirror image of a given geometrical figure with respect to x-axis and y-axis. Prerequisite knowledge: first, floating point on the graph paper. Second, Cartesian system. The perpendicular system, distance, the mirror, and the image of point P is equal to the perpendicular distance between the point P and the mirror. So materials required: graph paper, pencil, colored, eraser, ruler, and mirror. So let's see the procedure of it. So we have to draw any figure on the graph paper in the first quadrant, say a figure of stairs. In this figure you can see, first just plot some points, say A, B, C and so on with colored pencil, join A, B, C, D as shown in the figure. Consider y-axis as the mirror. Fold the graph paper along the y-axis to get the images of point A, B, C, D, E, F, G in the second quadrant as the A dash, B dash and so on respectively as shown in the figure 1. Join EB, A, B, C, D, E, F, we get the image of the stairs. Note down the coordinates of images so found and record them in the observation table 1. Repeat the procedure for the same stairs with respect to x-axis, or in the other words, to get image of the stairs taking x-axis as mirror. Now we will get image in the fourth quadrant. Note down the coordinates of image along x-axis and record in table 2. So this is the mirror image of y-axis and this is the mirror image of x-axis. Moving further. So now we will discuss about the observation. In the observation, we can say this is a table of table 1 for y-axis, and this is the positive and this is our negative coordinates of a to g. Okay, let's move. This is table 2 of x-axis, positive, and this is negative, as I have told you. This coordinates of a to g, and that's the same only. So let's move on. Okay, so now if we are talking about result, we have obtained a mirror image of figures along x-axis and y-axis. This is y-axis and this is x-axis. Okay, so now learning outcome, or we can say conclusion. First, mirror image with respect to x-axis. In this case, image of P become P. Thus, to find the image of any point along the x-axis, we keep the x-coordinate same and the sign of y-coordinate gets changed. Any point on the mirror remains the same. Second is mirror image with respect to y-axis. In this case, image of P becomes P. Thus, to find the image of any point with respect to y-axis, we keep the y-coordinate same and sign of x-coordinate gets changed. So, thank you.
Hey there, this is Kshitij Khandarkar from class 9E. Today, we are going to discuss the topic coordinate geometry. Proceeding for the next. Introduction to coordinate geometry, the activity, observation and the conclusion are the topics to be discussed in this session. Proceeding for the next. The horizontal line is called the x-axis and represented by XOX. As you can see in this graph, the x-axis is denoted by XOX. O is the origin. Okay. The vertical line is called the y-axis and represented by YOY as same as the XOX. So the origin is denoted by 0, as I already told it, as O. Proceeding for the next. The coordinate of the origin are 0, 0. Yes. X can vary, Y can vary, but the origin is 0, 0. The value of X and the value of Y, X and Y, are called the X coordinate or abscissa, and the Y coordinate or the ordinate respectively. The quadrant that lies between is OX, OY is called the first quadrant, OY and OX is called the second quadrant, OY dash and OX dash is called the third quadrant, OY dash and OX is called the fourth quadrant. Proceeding for the next. The aim of this activity. So we are going to start the activity now. The aim of this activity to obtain the mirror image of a given geometrical figure with respect to the x-axis and the y-axis. Materials required in this activity are graph papers, dark color pencils, eraser and ruler. The method of this activity we shall follow is we shall use a figure, say a flight of stairs, to form mirror images along x-axis and y-axis. We proceed with the following steps. Why did I say a flight of steps? So you can see over here that this is a flight of steps. It's proceeding up and up and up and up. So draw a figure on a graph paper in the first quadrant. You can see the first quadrant is just as YOX. Okay. So you can see over A is equal to 3, 0, B is equal to 3, 1, C is equal to 2, 1, D is equal to 2, 2, E is equal to 1, 2, F is equal to 1, 3 and G is equal to 0, 3. So proceeding for the next. Join A, B, C, D, E, F, G sequentially as shown in the figure. Mark points A, B, C, D, E, F and G on the opposite sides of x-axis such that these points are exactly equal distance from x-axis as the point A, B, C, D, E, F, G respectively. You can view it once again afterwards. So proceeding for the next. Join the points A, B, C, D, E, F, G sequentially to get the image. See over here on the x-axis, that was of the y-axis, this is of the x-axis. We are seeing that it's the mirror image we have obtained. So this table is for x-axis. X-axis, we can see there is a formation of the mirror image looking at the coordinates. Let's view at the x-axis now. So this is the table for x-axis. The prior was y and this is x. So you can also see over here that here also there is an obtaination of mirror image. So what we conclude from this activity is that we obtained the mirror image of the given graphs with x and y axis.
Thank you.
Hello and welcome. Today I am going to explain you about the topic coordinate geometry. So, coordinate geometry deals with locating points. Going further, talking about the inventor of coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry was invented by René Descartes. René Descartes first introduced the system of coordinate geometry. Descartes has been heralded as the first modern philosopher. So, in modern philosophy, we actually try to describe the world in a logical way on the basis of knowledge, rather than being religious. So, he is famous for having made important connection between geometry and algebra, which allowed many geometrical problems to be solved in the algebraic way. So, talking about this, if we take equations x plus y is equal to 2 and x minus y suppose is equal to minus 3. So, putting the alternate values of x and y, we could obtain two lines, and the point of intersection of these two lines is the answer of x and y. Here are a few basics about coordinate geometry. Coordinate geometry's base is a graph or Cartesian plane. So, moving further, divided into first, second and third, fourth quadrant. The first quadrant has the coordinates plus plus, quadrant second minus plus, quadrant third minus minus, and quadrant fourth plus minus. So let me tell you how really the coordinate scheme of the following quadrants. In quadrant 1, if we look at any point, we would always find that the coordinates of x and y would be positive and positive. In the second quadrant, try looking at any point, we would always find that they are negative and positive. Same with the third and the fourth quadrant. Moving further, if we see, we can say that the graph is actually the combination of two number line placed perpendicular to each other. So two number lines are placed perpendicular to each other to form the axis. So the point at which the two number line coincide is the origin, which have the coordinates 0, 0. Usually x and y axes are horizontal or vertical respectively, but there is no such specific rule that you have to consider horizontal as x and vertical as y only. Activity. Objective: to obtain the mirror image of a given geometrical figure with respect to the x and y axis. Materials required: graph papers, dark color pencils, eraser and ruler. Method: we shall use a figure, say 1/4 part of an octagon, to form mirror images. Along the x and y axis, we proceed with the following steps. Take a graph paper and plot the points A coordinate 2, 2, B coordinates 3, 0 and C coordinate 0, 3. Plot the points A2, A3, A4, B dash and C dash equidistant from AB and C in the opposite coordinates. Obtaining the coordinates, we get that quadrant 1 has the following points, and following with quadrant 4, quadrant 3 and quadrant 2. If we compile the image and club the image into one, we will get the following octagon, and we can see that the octagon has been completely divided by axis and into two equal parts, thus forming the line of symmetry. Conclusion. In general, we can say that in order to obtain a mirror image or a symmetrical figure of any given figure in the graph, we can say that the line of symmetry must coincide with the x and the y axis, and the points or the coordinates of that figure should match with that of the following points in the other quadrants, like plus x plus y are the quadrants in the first quadrant coordinates, then the second are minus x plus y, third minus x minus y, and fourth quadrants plus x minus y. We can also obtain two given mirror images just by considering two quadrants at a time. Here is a few basic normals. A line in the graph could be expressed in the form of a linear expression. Curve in a graph represents a quadratic expression, which is ax square plus bx plus c. A circle center in the graph has a formula x minus h whole square plus y minus k whole square is equal to r square, where h and k are the coordinates of the center. Activity. Try finding the location or coordinates of a Blactodia in your home. Thank you.
Hello everyone, myself Shravani Bobre of class 9th from Montfort Senior Secondary School, Nagpur, and today I'm going to tell you about coordinate geometry. So let's start. So first we are going to start with introduction, activity, and the results that we obtained by doing the activity. So let's start with introduction. So the horizontal line is called as the x-axis and is represented by x-ox. The vertical line is called as the y-axis and is represented by y-o-y dash. The coordinates of the origin are O, O, and the value of x and the value of y in xy are called the x-coordinates and the y-coordinate, where x-coordinate is called as the abscissa, whereas the y-coordinate is called as the ordinate respectively. So the intersecting point where the number 0 of one axis coincides with the number 0 of the other is called as the origin, as counting of units of distances starts from this point and the origin is denoted by O. So basically there are four quadrants. And the first quadrant lies between OX and OY. Here both the signs are positive. The second quadrant lies between OX dash and OY, where the first sign is negative, whereas the second sign is positive. The third quadrant lies between OX dash and OY dash. Here, both the signs are negative. The fourth quadrant lies between OY dash and OX, and here the first sign is positive, whereas the second sign is negative. So now moving on to the activity. So the aim of our activity is to obtain the mirror image of a given geometrical figure with respect to the x-axis and y-axis. So the materials required will be graph paper, dark color pencil, eraser and ruler. And the method is, we shall use a figure, say a flight of stairs, to form a mirror image along x-axis and y-axis. So we proceed with the following steps. So first we need to draw a figure using a graph paper in the first quadrant, and we need to plot the points shown below. Then we need to join the points A, B, C, D, E, F and G sequentially as shown in this graph. So this is how we have obtained the x-axis graph. Now we need to mark the points A dash, B dash, C dash, D dash, E dash, F dash and G dash on the opposite side of x-axis, that is in quadrant 4. and they should be exactly at the equidistance from the x-axis as we have shown in quadrant 1. Now we need to join the points in quadrant 4. Now we need to take another graph and repeat the same procedure, but in quadrant 2. And this is the image of a graph paper where we obtain the mirror image on y-axis. So results. Results of graph 1. This is the table that we have obtained by the results of quadrant 1 and quadrant 4 respectively. And this is the graph that the mirror image on x-axis. Graph 2. This is the table of quadrant 1 and quadrant 2. And this is the graph of the mirror image on y-axis. So hence I conclude that we have got the mirror images on x-axis and y-axis by using the figure flight of stairs.